There is a bear in the wild. It does not follow the herd, it does not need the noise, it moves alone on its own terms, and it is one of the most powerful creatures on the planet. Now, think about yourself at a crowded party, a packed mall, a loud wedding. Everyone around you seems fine. More than fine, actually. They look energized, and you are standing there wondering why you feel like you are slowly losing your mind. You are not weak, you are not broken, you are just wired differently. And that difference has a name, a biological explanation, and honestly, a quiet kind of power that most people never get to understand about themselves. If crowded places drain you, if loud environments leave you exhausted for hours afterward, if you find yourself counting down the minutes until you can go home and just breathe, you are not antisocial. You are not difficult. What is actually happening runs much deeper than personality. It goes straight into your nervous system, your brain chemistry, and the way your mind was built to process the world around you. Let me walk you through exactly what is going on inside you. Your brain does not filter the world the same way most people's brains do. When you walk into a crowded room, your nervous system picks up everything. The conversations happening 3 tables away, the flickering light in the corner, the faint smell of someone's cologne mixed with food, the emotional tension between 2 people who haven't even spoken yet. All of it, at once, at full volume. Psychologist Elaine Aron spent decades researching this and found that roughly 15 to 20% of the population has a nervous system that processes sensory information significantly more deeply than average. She called it sensory processing sensitivity. It is not a disorder, it is a trait, and it means your brain is essentially running in 8K while everyone else is comfortable at 480p. More detail, more data, more everything. In a quiet room, that depth is an extraordinary thing. In a crowded space, it becomes overwhelming fast. The sheer volume of input your brain is trying to process in a loud environment would exhaust any system operating at that level. So when you feel drained after 2 hours at a social event that others found energizing, your brain has not failed you. It has been working at a capacity most people cannot even imagine. But it is not just about how much your brain picks up. It is also about what it runs on. Most people get their social energy from dopamine. It is the chemical your brain releases when something exciting, new, or stimulating happens. Crowds, noise, and social buzz trigger dopamine easily. That is why some people genuinely light up in a packed room. For them, the chaos is fuel. Your brain works on a different chemical pathway. Research points to acetylcholine as the dominant neurotransmitter in people who prefer quieter, deeper experiences. Unlike dopamine, acetylcholine is activated by inward focus, reflection, and meaningful one-on-one connection. It rewards thinking, not noise, depth, not volume. So when you're standing in a loud crowd feeling completely depleted, it is not because something is missing in you. It is because you are in an environment that runs on the wrong fuel for your brain entirely. Asking yourself to thrive in that setting is like putting diesel in a petrol engine and then wondering why it sputters. And then there is the emotional side of this, which, for people like you, is never a small thing. Your brain does not just process sound and light more intensely. It processes people more intensely too. The prefrontal cortex in highly sensitive individuals shows stronger activation when reading facial expressions, tones of voice, and emotional atmosphere. You do not just notice that someone in the room is upset. You feel it, somewhere in your own chest, before you have even consciously registered it. A Cambridge University study on empathy and neural sensitivity found that individuals with heightened sensory awareness consistently scored higher on measures of emotional attunement. They were not just more aware of their own feelings, they were absorbing the emotional states of everyone around them without even trying. Walk into a tense family gathering or a party where 2 friends are quietly fighting, and your nervous system is already carrying that weight before you have taken off your jacket. That is not your imagination. That is your mirror neurons firing at a rate that most people simply do not experience. And in a crowd of 100 people, the emotional noise alone is enough to leave you completely hollow by the end of the night. Now, here is where this gets genuinely interesting, because everything that makes crowded places so hard for you is also what makes you exceptional in ways that actually matter. The same depth of processing that overwhelms you in loud environments is the exact thing that makes you remarkable in the right ones. You notice what others miss. You pick up on shifts in a room before anyone else registers them. You read situations with an accuracy that looks almost instinctive from the outside. In reality, it is just your brain doing what it was always built to do. From an evolutionary standpoint, every group needed people like you. The ones who stayed alert while others celebrated, the ones who noticed the quiet warning signs before they became actual problems, the ones who thought carefully before acting. You were never the weak link. You were the early warning system. The one whose observations kept everything from falling apart before anyone else even knew there was a threat. That is not a small thing to be. And in a modern world that rewards loudness and constant stimulation, people like you often forget that depth has always been more valuable than noise. Which brings up the part that nobody really talks about, what this costs you emotionally when you do not understand it. When you spend years not understanding why crowds exhaust you, you start filling in the explanation yourself. You call yourself antisocial, awkward, too sensitive, not fun enough. You watch other people move through loud environments with ease and you assume something in you is fundamentally off. That story is painful, and it is completely wrong. You are not too much for the world. You are too much for environments that were never built with your nervous system in mind. There is a real difference between those two things. One is a flaw. The other is just a mismatch. And mismatches can be worked around once you actually understand what you are dealing with. The exhaustion you feel after a crowded evening is not weakness. It is your brain asking for recovery time after an intense workout that nobody else in the room was doing. Giving yourself that time is not avoidance. It is maintenance. The same way an athlete rests between sessions, your nervous system needs quiet to reset after deep processing. That is not optional for you. It is biological. You were built for depth in a world that is obsessed with volume. Your nervous system picks up more, feels more, and processes more than most people around you ever will. That is not a defect wearing a polite disguise. It is genuinely how some of the most perceptive, emotionally intelligent, and quietly powerful people in history were wired. The ones who noticed what others missed. The ones whose inner world was richer than anything happening outside. Crowded places drain you because your brain is always fully switched on. And a brain like yours deserves an environment where that switch actually means something. You are not broken for needing quiet. You are not antisocial for leaving early. You are someone who knows on some level that your energy is worth protecting. So here is a question worth sitting with. Are you someone who recharges in silence, or have you just been telling yourself you should be fine with the noise? Drop your answer below. And if this finally gave a name to something you have felt your whole life, the next video is going to make even more fall into place. It is linked right here. If you want more of this, subscribing takes 2 seconds and it genuinely keeps this channel alive.